Well, well, well. Would you look at that? Juice Pro Wrestling has merch. Support the show by going to prowrestlingtees.com/JPWtees and get yourself a shirt. Enjoy the show.
You so freaking bad. Wrestle me.
Welcome, everybody, to Juice Pro Wrestling, episode 170. Hard to a candle. That's right. It's hard to hold a motherfucking candle to New Wave Pro Wrestling out of Terre Haute, Indiana. And with us tonight to discuss this weekend's epic event, we have the Liverpool Lip himself. We have, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Earl Joseph.
Oh my
Earl, how the fuck are you doing tonight, brother?
That's probably the best introduction I've ever had. So that's a great start. I hope you don't want me to reciprocate because I don't think I've got the vocal dexterity to do that.
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate the kind words, and I do expect you to follow through.
Yeah, I could try it. It might just come across as offensive. I don't know.
It's all right. Most people probably thought I'm offensive, just by doing what I did. These kids, how do I teach these kids? They don't get it, man. They don't get it.
No respect. I'm very good. Thank you. It's really good to be here. I'm looking forward to, I'm looking forward to a good chat with you guys.
Hell yeah. And sharing a pint as well. Speaking of pints, what are you drinking, man?
I'm probably going to catch flack for this.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a good old-fashioned PBR.
Oh, not with them. They are the supporters of the wrestling community. There was kind of like an online Instagram spat between us and PBR there because I was like, hey, PBR is great and all, but I'm a Budweiser guy. Long live the king. And they're fucking shooting me hard, man. They're like, yeah, way to support the guys. There you go. There you go, brother. Like, way to support the brand that doesn't support pro wrestling. And I was like, damn, man. So I think we're cool now, but it is cool what PBR is doing. If you look at their Twitter feed, they are constantly supporting pro wrestling. And, if you've seen that commercial where they had Hornswoggle, former guest of the show, I might add, and Matt Cardona, pretty cool what they're doing, man. So here's to you guys as I'm drinking a Modelo.
Yeah. So which do you think, if Budweiser and PBR were wrestling companies, who'd be WWF and who'd be WCW?
What's that?
If PBR and Budweiser were wrestling companies, which one would be WWF and which would be WCW?
Oh, you're gonna put me on blast now. Well, I would say Budweiser would be WCW and PBR would be WWF.
I would say the opposite, honestly. I was going to say the complete
because you're an honest man. And in that case, I'm trying to schmooze, I'm trying to get fucking sponsorship here,
Yes, PBR, you are the greatest beer ever.
Yes, yeah. I fully endorse it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great
drink one every single day.
Speaking of great times, brother, it's Thanksgiving weekend. There's going to be people out traveling, doing all kinds of shit. You guys, you have a huge event coming up here, November Rain, huge Guns N' Roses reference right there if they didn't get it, You guys got Alex Zane coming. Just real quick, give us a list of some of the talent that you guys are bringing on board for that festivity.
Yeah, man. It's, I dare say it's probably New Wave Pro's biggest show of in their history. The company's been around for about 10 years now. Or it will be in January. And this entire show, honestly, is the culmination in some parts of around 18 months worth of storylines. We are a very story-oriented independent promotion, which is quite a rarity. We drive storylines hard. We use social media a lot and use a lot of video and pre-tapes to forward our vision, what we're trying to do. Match-wise, we are bringing Alex Zane in, as you mentioned.
Sauce!
That's right. We've also got him sponsored by Taco Bell, which was a first for him. Yes.
You guys were the ones behind that?
Yep, that's us. Yep.
Woo!
Making dreams come true.
Hell yeah.
Yes, they do.
Dream, bro.
Alex was very happy with that. So, we're good at New Wave at following up on what people want. And sometimes it's good to give people what they want, and sometimes it's good to swerve them. In this case, you give them what they want. Zane's coming in and he's facing Aaron Williams, who is a huge name in Midwest Wrestling. He's a 8-time IWA world champion, which speaks for itself, in my opinion.
Currently working for NWA too, right?
That's right, yeah. And those two have a little bit of history going back some time. They fought together before Alex went to WWE, and we're going to give that sort of rivalry, ideally, a good send-off. Aaron has become part of the furniture at New Wave Pro. He only debuted in May for New Wave Pro when he took on our champion, Solomon Tupu. And even since then, because he's such a great professional and such a storied expert wrestler, he, like I say, has become a real part of what we're trying to do and present. Alex Zane follows in a grand tradition of what we've been doing this year. We've been bringing in some big star names. In May, we had Mike Bennett and Jordan Oliver come in. And in July, we had JTG. And for our last show of the year, we really want to push the boat out and say thank you to our fans by giving them the best. So Alex Zane versus Aaron Williams is the top of the marquee. That's a real draw, I feel. We also have Cole Radrick and Sage Phillips taking on one another in a dog collar match.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, very old school. Yep. Trying to invoke Roddy Piper versus Greg Valentine vibes here, Cole and Sage, and this is where I talk about how important storylines are to us. Cole and Sage used to be tag team champions at New Wave Pro called Hysteria, and they are regulars, very well loved wrestlers by our crowd. And Sage cost Cole a chance to win the New Wave Pro Championship back in July, and so it's come to this. And this is something that's actually been bubbling for 18 months now. This is a real exercise in great wrestling storytelling, and it's going to be and I mean this in the best possible way. It's going to be a bloody mess. The match. It's going to be really intense. These two are fantastic workers, absolutely incredible, top notch, and they're really at the top of their powers at the moment. We also have Eric Dillinger, who's one of the big rising stars right now, certainly in Indiana and beyond. He just got a fighting John Wayne Murdoch at the IWA and Pro Wrestling Trainwreck shows this past weekend. He's taken on Nate Matthews, who is a New Wave Pro regular, very big part of what we do, and they're involved in a street fight as part of their ongoing rivalry. We also have Beef coming in. Big Beef.
Yeah, brother.
He's recently signed with MLW, so his stock is about to rise. And this may be the last time you see somebody like Beef in a place like Terre Haute. I think the guy's going to get a rocket strapped to him. And we're lucky, really lucky to have a guy who is so charismatic, so good in the ring, and has star power and drawing power. He's coming to Terre Haute to take on a chap called Gorgeous Morgan Taylor from Columbus, Ohio. And I think those two are going to, I can swear on this podcast, right?
Fuck yeah.
Well, they're going to knock the shit out of each other. All right.
Yes.
We have, for our New Wave Pro Championship, Don't Die Miles, taking on Solomon Tupu, who's been champion as of yesterday for one entire year.
Damn.
Yeah, he has beaten absolutely everyone. Lord Crew, Aaron Williams, Ace Perry, Justin Kyle, he beat to win the championship in the first place. Conan Lycan, who you'll see on JCW and GCW. So he's beaten off a lot of competitors, and Miles is so over at New Wave Pro. Like, it has to be seen to be believed, honestly. When he comes through that curtain, the crowd react like it's Beatlemania. They go absolutely nuts. In September's show, we did like an introduction video, and the crowd, one of the biggest pops all night was just him coming up on the video screen. I haven't seen anything like it before. And that's going to be a really emotional match for a number of reasons. Miles has had an incredible 2021, and if you can cap it off by winning the New Wave Pro Championship, then there won't be a dry eye in the house. That's my genuine belief. We have the tag team belts on the line, the Von Englands, fellow Brits. They are the New Wave Pro Tag Team Champions. They're taking on Nick King and Orion Creed, both out of St. Louis. And that's going to be, this is their first defense. They won the belts in September. This is their first defense of them. And honestly, it could go either way. King and Creed are really, really versatile, intelligent wrestlers. And lastly, we have Gary J taking on Freddie Hudson.
Hell yeah.
So as you can tell, it's really star-studded. Like, we're not messing around. New Wave Pro has really come on in leaps and bounds in the last 12 months. We started up again in summer 2020, obviously with the COVID stuff, taking a lot of people out of the game for a bit. And since July 2020, we have really gone from strength to strength, show after show. And I really think that this is the perfect way to end 2021. And I think next year for New Wave Pro will be its most satisfying. I was going to say profitable, but it's indie.
Money. Say it with me, come on, Earl.
Yeah, in indie wrestling.
Hey, hopefully it's both.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. So that's, it's just a couple of days away, 27th of November. I'm nervous, as I always am, but particularly before this show, because so much time and effort has gone into it. Our social media has been absolutely red hot. Our head of production has been wearing his fingers down to the bone for all the video packages that we do. And everyone's on high alert in a good way. And my hope is that we can pack it out, because I think this show deserves a full house at the very least.
Oh yeah. And it's a great way to like cap off a weekend, a holiday weekend, for people to come and sweat out all that damn gravy they consumed on Thanksgiving. You guys serving beer where you guys are at there? Or
No, we don't. We keep a very family-oriented audience at our shows. We have good old-fashioned traditional concessions. Your hot drinks, your cold drinks, popcorn, hot dogs, nachos. Because it's International Guard Armory, I believe there may be some complications with selling alcohol there, but I'm not entirely sure. That's not an issue I actually deal with. But I feel maybe I'm kind of a hypocrite, because I would like, if I was just a casual fan and I go to someone else's show, I think, that beer would be nice. But at my own shows that I run, I can take it or leave it.
Yeah, I feel you on that, man. Some people just can't handle themselves when they get a little too.
I mean, yeah, I don't. My perhaps people will be too hungover, and as you say, just in sweat and gravy. So they may not even want any beers anyway. And there's a great bar just half a mile down the road called Tolly's that we normally skip to after the shows and have a few and talk over what went right and what went wrong.
Hell yeah, man. Are you guys doing any is it going to be on any type of streaming platforms?
Yes, it will be on IWTV.
Nice.
And it will be on IWTV very shortly after. Our head of production is a guy who goes by the alias Prophet of Ash. And he is very quick on the draw. He's a very adept and expert video editor. He's been doing it for nearly 20 years for a ton of different promotions. He edits all the IWA stuff, for example. All that IWA stuff you see online is him. Excuse me. So yeah, honestly, he normally, the same thing happens every show. He will go, I've got so much, I'll just dump it and I won't be able to look at it for a couple of days. And then 12 hours later, he'll go, it's done.
Just
and
like me.
He does like Yeah, he does like a 4-camera shoot now as well.
Nice.
We've introduced a GoPro on our turnbuckle, which offers like a really good view of things. When it switches to that, sometimes, especially when someone gets whipped into the buckle, and you can see them rushing right at you. It's quite an interesting experience, and nothing I actually feel like I've seen before in any other shows.
Hell yeah, man. That's super cool, dude. So how long have you yourself been associated? Because I'm curious, man. You're the fucking Liverpool Lip, and you're out in Indiana. Like, what makes one want to come all the way out from Liverpool to become a Hoosier?
It was just as simple as I met a woman from Indiana, and we met online, and we just started visiting each other, had a relationship, or rather got into a relationship, and we got engaged, and so we began the process of me getting the the marriage license or the marriage visa to come over, and then it went.
Wait a minute, didn't I see you on Discovery Plus?
Yeah, no, I'm from 90 Day Fiance. I'm that guy with no neck.
Oh.
Love it.
But no, in fact, that's what my life was like at one point. I mean, the show not having no neck. It is kind of like that, yeah. It's quite a fraught process. There's a lot of paperwork, a lot of expense, a lot of waiting around. I would say the process from when we got engaged to when I moved over, it was 18 months. No, God, a lot longer than that, actually. In fact, 2.5 years from getting engaged to me moving over.
Yeah, that's a fucking process, brother.
Yeah, it gets tedious and you feel like your life's on hold, but such a massive change, such a complete erasing of the slate, moving from one side of the world to another, is something that can't be taken lightly. And I'll be 3 years on the 20th of. Oh no, I had my 3 years only 5 days ago. So I'm settled in enough.
So, were you involved with any kind of wrestling over there, or what was it like over there? What's the indie scene like?
I actually wasn't, funnily enough. I've always followed creative pursuits. I've been in a lot of bands. I was a writer. I'm a qualified journalist, so I spent a lot of time doing that and living in Spain, following it as well. But I was never involved in wrestling. I would go to shows. Liverpool, in particular, has or the surrounding county area. You have TNT Extreme, based in Liverpool, who are fairly prominent overseas. And there's also a smaller promotion in a town called Birkenhead called Wrestle Island, who are very good, very family oriented, good old classic traditional wrestling. The scene itself, you're aware it's had its ups and downs. And when it finally became like a genuine modern day success, they got steamrolled because everyone got signed to certain contracts from a certain company and the scene was choked out. And then, not that I really want to go into it, but there was a lot of scandals last year, of course. But as I remember it, apart from those shows, and there was a lot of grand, traditional, old school venues, certainly in my part of the world, or where I used to live in the north of England. But there was also an emphasis on the sideshow aspect of it. So you'd have a lot of shows that were marketed as, American wrestling, and maybe you'd have some joker dressed up as the Undertaker or a overweight bald guy calling himself, Cold Stone or something.
Cold Stone Creamery, baby.
Yeah. So there's a lot of that, but that's what draws, because obviously I know WWE are in England at the moment. They played Liverpool last night, actually, incidentally.
Yeah, NXT UK. They get a whole brand out there. Yeah. It's like you said, they noticed like the rise of English wrestling, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, well, we gotta take over that. They were trying to do it with Japan too, but pretty much all the promotions out there were like, get the fuck out of here.
Well, the NXT UK thing is interesting because it encompasses a lot of European wrestling. Obviously,
Yeah.
WWE and WXW have a very tight relationship as well. So much so that I believe WXW stuff is on the network.
Mm-hmm.
And NXT UK now has, people from France, people from Spain, Italians, Germans. It's an interesting project, certainly. And the emphasis not just on British talent, but also continental Europe means that there are people who are getting a big platform where they may have struggled previously.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Like I would say, like never before. I mean, especially with I've said it a million times, as anybody should know by now, with the advent of social media and all these streaming services has done nothing. I mean, I'm not gonna say nothing but good, because there's a lot of toxic shit that can come out of it. But realistically, if you want to look at it on the positive side, like we fucking like to do, it's been nothing but exposure and greatness. Like it's, man, it's I think back like on the music tip, like if you had like this certain genre, like the last big rock genre, right? Like the Seattle scene or something, like it exploded without, social media and all that shit. But just imagine like any of the stuff. I mean, like the Beatles, who were fucking, people were passing out, oh my God, the fucking the Beatles are, imagine like if social media and all that was around then, it would be even more insane. Like, I mean, they're already like godlike entertainers, but I couldn't imagine like the power that they would possess, because the reach would be even broader.
I think if social media had been around when the Beatles started, John Lennon would have been cancelled long before they were ever a success.
This is also a possibility.
The more you learn about him.
Yeah. Speaking of the Beatles and music, man, we were kind of talking before we hit the record button. You're a huge Guns N' Roses Mark and/or fan. Take us through some of your favorite music, man, and your experiences with playing in bands.
Yeah, so I've always been, I mean, I'm 35 now. I've been a Guns fan since I was like 9 or 10. But I really got into them big time around, I really, really followed up on my fandom when I started visiting Guns N' Roses fan pages, Guns N' Roses forums, so much so that I still have friends today from those days scattered across the world.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, people I've actually met up with since I came to this country, who I ordinarily would never have had the chance to do so. So around 99, 2000, 2001, when the band were just starting to kick back into gear again, when they had Buckethead and stuff like that. And Robin,
the Chinese Democracy era, right?
Yes, yeah. And then that album finally came out 7 years after that. So, I became a real sort of engaged fan at perhaps the most difficult time to have been a fan, because information was so thin on the ground. There was no real official website. It was all fan community and fan based. And I don't know what it is about Guns N' Roses online fans, but a lot of them are kind of
cunts.
Just
is that how am I being a little apropos on that?
Intense was the word I was going to use.
Okay. Well, wrestling and the IWC can be very similar in that aspect. So I feel your pain, brother.
Yeah, it's the whole hornet's nest thing, crabs in a bucket and stuff like that. Yeah. Other groups I like. I'm also a major Metallica fan. For real, know a lot about them. I've been lucky enough to see them 3 or 4 times.
Did you make it to the Chicago gig at the Metro where they played for $20?
No, I missed them in Indianapolis a couple of years ago. I missed them in Louisville when they did the big Louder Than Life festival. And they did 2 nights, and they did the Black Album from in reverse order, which was, I just can't believe I missed that. I know I didn't see them at the Metro because I didn't know that gig happened until the night after it happened. So some fan I am, I suppose.
Son of a bitch.
I know. It was, but yeah, I've always, again, since I was around 9, 10, 11, I've been a major Metallica fan. And I think even through all of the stuff they put you through as a fan.
Well, I mean, the same could be said for GNR, though. I mean, I want to ask you, and be honest with me. Because, dude, I'm fans of bands, but I'm a huge Danzig fan. But fuck Danzig 5, Black Acid Devil. All right. What do you honestly think about Chinese democracy?
I think in parts it's a really good record. However, there were some problems I feel with the marketing of the album. There, before it came out, they were saying 17 years in the making, the most the most anticipated album in history. Man, you're never going to satisfy anybody when you pitch something like that.
Especially when it's not the original band, when it's just Axl, you know?
Yeah, I mean, even then people are willing to overlook it. I think the marketing really pulled the rug out from underneath them. Mm-hmm. And there's also the problem, in my opinion, with some of the songs where they were all with them in all the stuff I've read and the stuff I've watched about Axl during that period of time, certainly from 93 to about 2002, when he was still very sort of reclusive and away from the public eye. He was taking in a lot of influences. So, when 9 Inch Nails became really big and Muse and stuff like that. And that's very evident on the album. So at times, I feel the album suffers from just having so much stuff shoveled in. There's years and years of mainstream music history sometimes piled on top of one another. And you can listen to the songs and you'd be getting pulled every which way. And when you've got such talented players like Buckethead, like Fink, Brian May even turns up on the album. And sometimes there just isn't room for everybody. And you can feel like that pressure on the songs. There's a couple of duds. And also, if you notice, the album just kind of ends. It's weird. The one song just fades out. And there were rumors that he hadn't actually finished the record, which is hilarious if true.
Damn near 20 years to fit, and the record comes out. It's still not finished. Come on, Axl.
Yeah, I don't know. One thing I've always admired about Axl Rose is even for all of his, his issues and his controversies and his turning up and the snake shimmy and turning up late all the time, is that I really admire a guy who has that kind of charisma. I've fallen for it so many times too, where every time I've seen them, he's been about 2 hours late, right? And you're sitting there or you're standing there and like another song comes on the PA and you're going, oh my God, it's already 11 o'clock, man. And you're going, I hate this guy. What the fuck am I wasting my money for? And then as soon as the lights go out and you hear him go, do you know where the fuck you are? Like you just forget it and you go, oh, this guy's amazing. Now I remember why I'm here. And to have that power is, it must be heady. It's no wonder the guy's a bit loopy,
Yeah, for sure. I mean, dude, they were one of the biggest bands on the planet, back in the day. Them and Nirvana.
I've seen footage from those South American shows they did around 1991, Argentina and Brazil, and the crowds are just huge and rabid. And to be able to hold people like that in the palm of your hand must be so exciting.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. What about, some of your native bands? You getting the Sex Pistols at all? Any punk rock?
I tell you who I really like. I'm not sure how familiar you may be, but my favorite band is a group called The Fall. They're from Manchester, England. There's no adequate way to describe them. They went for about 40 years. The singer died about nearly 5 years ago now. But they were famous for multiple lineup changes. The singer was very much a dictator, which is a trend you'll notice in my music taste. I really like the dictator frontmen who just go, you're out, you're in, you're out, you're in.
Sounds like a bunch of dicks.
Yeah, kind of informs my booking policy. And so the Fall have had a very special place in my heart for a long time. And I can't think of any reason that they would be dislodged from my number one spot. Every album of theirs is different. And I would always recommend people at least give them a try. In the space of 3 albums, you can go from rockabilly to like really surreal electronica to just straight out rock and roll. It's just, I say to people, the reason I like The Fall is because they always made the sounds that like I hear in my head,
Yeah, brother. Hey, man. I totally identify with that statement right there. That's a lot of my favorite music is,
Yeah, I feel like their music and his lyrics are really key into how I personally perceive, the world and events. And it's comforting to know that, it isn't written for me, obviously, but it's comforting to have something that I relate to so much. Whether it's for me or not for me, it doesn't really matter. I know how it makes me feel.
Fuck yeah. What about Black Sabbath, man?
I love Black Sabbath.
Yeah, I love you.
I don't know how you feel about the various singers, but I do kind of choose. I kind of tune out, honestly, after the Mob Rules album. After that, it kind of becomes really weird.
It's say bad. I mean, yeah, I'm gonna I don't care if I catch any flack. I mean, it's been common knowledge for how many years now. It was awful. And from what I understand, Iommi was wanting to do his solo shit. And I don't know if they were still under Warner Brothers or what, but the record company was like, Iommi isn't going to sell shit. The name Black Sabbath is going to sell shit. So once again,
yeah, that explains albums like Seventh Star, which was a strictly Tony Iommi solo thing, and the label said, no, it's not. Yeah.
Well, then,
they just put the contract.
And you get like you said, after Ronnie left, dude, Heaven and Hell, I fucking love that album, dude. Neon Nights, fuck yeah,
that's
rips.
That's the stuff that just about hangs in there. I love the Ozzy stuff, and those first 8 records with Ozzy, I think, are timeless. There's some fluff on there, and I don't mean that as a pun, because there was actually a song called Fluff.
Yep, I was just gonna say. You working me, brother?
But those eight records have some incredible moves on it. But I think the post Ozzy pinnacle for me was Mob Rules, which is a tremendous album.
You know what? And I appreciate that statement very much, because I just read an article. I think Revolver Magazine had it on Facebook the other day, because I believe it was like the 40-year anniversary or something of Mob Rules, 40, 41, whatever. You guys can correct me in the comments. As it being like this guy's favorite album, post Ozzy, because that's where they really, Heaven and Hell was like this pinnacle, right, for after Ozzy. And I think that the players themselves, Bill Ward, Geezer Butler, and Tony Iommi, kind of took, they saw this new wave of British heavy metal, and they kind of adjusted to that, as opposed to being just the doom heavy metal side of what the classic Sabbath sound was, and they grew more, right? And then Mob Rules was like the pinnacle of that. It was even more polished as far as songwriting and structure and all that goes. And I think, and especially when you get God, what's his nuts? The drummer. He's got a brother who plays drums as well. He was Dio's drummer. Oh God, I feel like such a piece of shit for not knowing this. But anyways,
piece of shit.
You better shut the fuck up, Stratton. I'll have your ass.
Let me Google it very quickly, because I don't know. Vinny Appice, right?
Appice, yeah, or a piece, right, however, okay. Yeah. So he was more of Bill Ward was more of a jazzy drummer, like, where Appice was more of that straight ahead hard rock. And I think they they hit that more of a stride on Mob Rules. It's weird, because me and my drummer Brad sometimes have this argument, or not really an argument, but just like kind of conversation where I'm like, dude, you still not digging Mob Rules? He's like, no, he fucking loves Heaven and Hell. But it's like, and it's weird. And I kind of get that, because as a kid, for me, it was only the Ozzy Sabbath, like when I started playing guitar, it was, we sold our soul for rock and roll just after school every day for 7-8 hours in my room, trying to learn on my own how to play note for note, all this shit. And two of my favorite guitar players ever. One's Tony Iommi, other's Frank Zappa. I love the Italian guitarist. Go figure. Dude, it's just that album is so killer, and it's just hard to realize that some people, can't get over it. But that's and I'm not saying that's bad, because some people just aren't open-minded, right? Like some people can't move past it. I was that person as a kid. I'm like, that's the only thing. And then I want to say probably, I'm 39, right after high school, dude. Like junior year of high school, I started really listening to the Dio albums, the two that were out at the time, because at the time I knew nothing. They did a third one in was it 92? I'm trying to think of I can't think of that either, because I partied my fucking thoughts and memories away. Kids, don't try this at home. But they came back. One of the songs, Time Machine, was on the Wayne's World 2 soundtrack, I believe.
Oh, it was it's
with the Reaper on it.
It's got Letters from Earth on that album, right?
No, well, Letters from Earth is on that, and what is it? Computer Gods on there too. It's fucking amazing. How do I not know this?
Dehumanizer.
Dehumanizer. There you go. Thank you. You can be on the show all the time. Just cover up my fucking idiocracy. But dude, it's fucking to kind of get off the rant I'm on real quick because I'm not making any sense. I fucking love it, dude. I fucking love Ronnie James vocals, and it took me a while to find that, but once I did, it was like this epiphany, like, wow, this shit is really, really good. Like, and you have to be able to separate though, like I think the same kind of goes with certain styles of wrestling. Some people hate on like deathmatch stuff. Like, you can find the good in everything, it's just fucking, they were a great band. And then they did fucking Born Again with Ian Gillan of Deep Purple.
I was going to mention Born Again because it's
and then Spinal Tap came basically because of that album, that tour.
Yeah, Born Again is a very strange album.
God.
For some reason, I've got this the lyric has always stuck in my head where Gillan just says, "Digital bitch, she's so rich." She's a digital bitch. Like, he was struggling.
Dude, it was so bad. Disturbing the Priest. The only like decent song, and I don't even think people liked it, like the single, was Zero the Hero. And I love Cannibal Corpse. If you ever get a chance, listen to old school Cannibal Corpse cover that when they had Chris Barnes as a vocalist. It's pretty badass. It's on the Hammer Smash Face EP. Pretty dope.
Yes, I know it well. Yes. No, I did actually.
I'll pass on that fucking death metal.
I did actually listen to the new Cannibal Corpse records. One came out last month. A
few months back now.
It's not entirely my thing. It can be. It's just too heavy for my taste. That's just how it is. But it's some of the riffs are very very fun to just kind of sit in the car and just be like.
Hell yeah! Letting it. How was that again?
What was I going to say? One more thing about that's it, about Sabbath, is that I like Mob Rules so much that I called the New Wave Pro July 31st show Mob Rules.
Fuck yeah, dude. You're all fools.
Well, yeah, that's what our ring announcer came out to. The song fades in and goes, "If you listen to fools," and there's me shoving them out. Go now. When he says Mob Rules, go. If you watch the thing, he'll come out the curtain and kind of like trip forward just a tiny bit. It's because I'm digging him right in the back and saying, "Go out right now." When he says Mob Rules, do it.
I love that, dude. A little behind the scenes.
yeah, little side of workplace HR issue. Yeah.
Hey man, so I noticed you got some figures behind you. Now, are these yours?
Yeah, this is my office where the magic happens.
Ooh. See some stains over there. You said it's where the magic happens. Come on, man.
I just started up a new collection in the last few months.
You an avid collector, or
say again?
Are you an avid collector?
No, if I see every so often, I'll drop into Walmart and just see what figures they have, and if there's something that catches my eye, I'll go. Like for instance, I was a bit more smart about picking up the Bray Wyatt Elite Edition because they'll never make them anymore.
Right.
Same with Braun Strowman here. They're never going to make any more of those. I've got Viscera here, the Elite Viscera. Watching Viscera was a large part of my adolescence, which is worrying. Yeah. I've got AJ Styles, and then I've got the Rey Mysterio where they did the crossover with Masters of the Universe.
Oh yeah.
I just like the look of it. So I picked it up, and then I got a Transformers figure and then a Halo figure. But I have some other. Yeah, let's just show you quickly.
Hell yeah, give us a tour.
Yeah, I've got show posters. This is New Wave and all the companies I work for. and I have United States belt, and I have some drinks coasters from the WCW NES game from about '92.
Dude, that's fucking awesome. What? So
I get them from Etsy, right? And the guy who makes them is the owner of WrestleCrap.com. You remember that?
yeah, I do.
RD Reynolds. Yeah, he lives in Indianapolis, and he does those video game and wrestling coasters on Etsy. So,
Fuck, I swear I've seen those, dude. Oh man, that's fucking. I'm gonna have to get up on some of that shit.
yeah, his username, his store name is like Coasty Marshmallow, I think. Yeah, and I actually spent a fair bit of money in his online. So I love Etsy. As soon as I get money into my PayPal, the first thing I do is open the Etsy app and go, all right, I'm going to get some Waterworld merchandise now. Here we go.
Shit, dude, that's the best. Get some of them fucking old Kenner figures.
Yeah, no, I do actually have them, and I have the boat. I have the trimaran that Kevin Costner had in the film.
Holy shit. Dude, you're fucking diehard, man. I got cheers to that, brother.
No, that's what it's one of my favorite films ever. Waterworld. It's absolutely
really
superb. Oh yeah, it's great.
I'm just surprised. I mean, I don't know anybody that seems to be as passionate about that as you are, which is cool. I thought it was a decent flick. I mean, it bombed.
Absolutely, 100% more passionate than anyone who ever worked on that movie ever is about it. But to me, it's like the perfect storm because for whatever reason, don't ask me why, whether it's like some kind of male crush I have that I never really thought about, but I love Kevin Costner. Like I love his.
You kind of look like him a little bit.
I'll take that. Yeah, I look like him in Wyatt Earp, right?
Yeah, I like that. Tombstone, brother. Tombstone.
And Dennis Hopper's in it, and Dennis Hopper was one of the great actors.
Dude, I'm a huge horror buff. Sretton as well. I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Dennis Hopper's great, and one of Romero's last great zombie film, Land of the Dead.
Right? Yes.
God, he's such a fucking ass. He's so great in that. He's perfect.
Like he owns the tower block, doesn't he? He's the guy. They live in the gated community, right? And he's like the millionaire weirdo.
Yeah, like a millionaire, just total shithead. He's got like his fucking stereotypical for whatever that was, black servant and whatever, like just total guy you don't want to fucking like. But he plays the part so well, like, I think when he gets his comeuppance, you fucking enjoy it, because he did a great job of making you hate him.
Great heel work by Dennis Hopper there. Yeah. I think his turn in Apocalypse Now when he plays the photojournalist, it's I don't know what it is about that role, but I just find it not inspirational. It's probably not the word I want to use, but I'm just really drawn to how he plays the character and the things he says, and so much so that because I make my own music, and there's one song which is pretty much all of his script from that movie set to music, just because I love his role in Apocalypse Now so much. And he's only in the film for about 7 minutes. But
I was gonna say,
that's the thing I remember most from that movie is Dennis Hopper.
What kind of music are you making? And what do you use there? You play instruments, or is this digital stuff, or what?
A bit of both. My pseudonym, my alias is Chemical Billy.
Billy likes the Chemical Brothers,
which is a very, very deep Hunter S. Thompson reference.
I didn't get that. I haven't read much of Hunter S. Thompson.
Chemical Billy is the brand name of a can of mace he once sprayed his brother-in-law in the face with. So,
did you know that?
I didn't know that, but I've read quite a lot of Hunter S. Thompson. I even read some of his sports articles. I just love the style he writes in.
And if you read the Kentucky Derby as Decadent and Depraved from Scanlon's from 1976, that's where Chemical Billy is mentioned. Okay. That's the specific article.
That shit would go over my head anyways.
So yeah, it's a lot of electronic stuff. If you just go to soundcloud.com/chemical_Billy, you'll find it. I've got a new EP coming out, which is a lot more rock and metal oriented. I need to get around to laying down the vocals, which, like Axl Rose, it'll take me a while to do that. The music's all there, everyone's waiting for me, and I'll just turn up when I like and do it.
Like 30 years from now, I'll be fucking sitting with the drip in the hospital, like, I'm waiting for the single, man.
Well, it's been a little while since I actually released an EP, probably a year now, actually. Summer to October 2020, I was releasing stuff in dribs and drabs, and then pulled it all together for an EP. And just because it's taken so long, and because of the Guns N' Roses thing, I wanted to call it like Malaysian libertarianism instead of Chinese democracy, and just fuck around.
You do any music for New Wave Pro at all, for like their videos and stuff?
Yes, I do. I've just made some background music. And actually, that reminds you, at November Rain, in a couple of days' time, one of the tag team, Nick King and Orion Creed, they asked me if they could use one of my songs as their entrance theme, which is really fucking cool.
Hell yeah.
The song is called Ace of Base Tour Bus Breakdown.
Oh.
I don't know. It was just one of those. I just tend to pull titles out of my arse at the last second, just depending on what my mood is. So yeah, when Orion listened to that a couple of weeks ago, he just sent me like a ton of messages going, "Oh, this is great. Can me and Nick come out to Ace of Base Tour Bus Breakdown?" I was like, "Fuck yeah!" Absolutely.
How many breakdowns are in that song?
The thing is, the song's only like a minute and a half. It was just something I crafted at 4 a.m. when I couldn't sleep, and just thought, I may as well dick around and do this. But it hit Orion's imagination well enough. So when I hear that coming over the speakers, it'll be a proud moment. And I think maybe in 2022, I'd like to try and market myself to do custom themes for wrestlers. Give that a try. I do highlight videos. I write press releases freelance as well for companies, and maybe getting into doing customized themes would be a nice step forward as well.
Hell yeah. And Earl, real quick, as we wind down here, what are some of like the other promotions and stuff that you're a part of that you work for, man?
Oh, a lot. We barely touched upon it. It's been nice to be on a wrestling podcast and sort of talk about everything else, honestly. AWR in Indianapolis. I am the ring announcer. I'm known as the voice of AWR. I have been working with them since July 2020. That's when I debuted, and I don't think I'm too presumptuous to say that I'm a very popular figure there. We have a very regular, loyal audience out in AWR, and I think they find me, the way I dress, the way I speak, and the way I present the action to them to be quite comforting. I work for Pro Wrestling Trainwreck, which is owned by JC Rotten, son of Ian.
Nice.
A couple of weeks ago, we just got done doing a ton of shows at German Park in Indianapolis, a whole weekend of deathmatch tournaments. So, that was very tiring, but a lot of fun. And if I'm tired, I wonder about the guys who do 5-6 matches, death matches, not just any matches, death matches over a weekend. These guys, I think they're superhuman sometimes. I have a very profound respect for what they do.
What's your hot take, real quick? Not to interrupt you, but hot take, because I always got to ask when we bring this up, because sometimes it's a very polarizing subject. Is the death match? What's your hot take on it?
I don't think I have a hot take. I think that it takes a very strong kind of person to willingly put themselves through what some of these guys go through. I have seen stuff. I have seen some of these guys, John Wayne Murdoch, Neil Cutter, Oren Veidt, Schlack, real top of their game guys. I've watched them. God, I can't even think of the man, getting thrown over the top rope to the outside and going through panes of glass. And they just get up and shrug it off and carry on fighting. And I look at these people and I go, what the fuck? So my admiration for people like Murdoch and his ilk is very high. I would never. I know. As you point out, Deathmatch has its detractors, and they have a lot of script, a lot of set things. They say, oh, it's just people hurting each other. It's just blood and guts and blah blah blah. If I did have a negative opinion on Deathmatch, and I've thought about this before, I would not be best placed to speak it publicly, because I would never ever do what they do, because I'm not strong enough. I don't have the fortitude to do so. And even a light tube to the head would make me wince. I have a very low pain threshold. So some of these guys, they travel around the country, they spend 24, 28 hours in a car driving to Texas to do a death match against a guy who's as strong and crazy as they are. And they just keep getting back up on their feet and doing it. And some of these guys are genuinely nice as well. It's a pleasure to work alongside these people and share a locker room with them. And Deathmatch is the growth niche within independent wrestling right now. It's hot. Some would argue, and I would probably argue alongside them, that Deathmatch perhaps dragged indie wrestling through the pandemic. It's
agree.
Growth. Yeah, it became a lot more prevalent during the pandemic. And, I was right there in the mix of it.
Right. Fuck COVID. We're going to go cut ourselves and get fucking all this crazy shit.
That's the irony. At a time when there is a pandemic and people are being conscientious of their health, it's ironic that the deathmatch becomes the... And I mean, there's an essay to be had in there somewhere. People want to see violence and danger in a time when they have to be comfortable and self-aware and safe. But Deathmatch has a lot more to come. And God, you're even seeing it in the mainstream. Nick Gage was on AEW, of course.
With Jericho, and kudos to Jericho for being the star and the legend that he is, for kind of giving it a proper go with Gage in that match for a mainstream, televised match on AEW, and TNT for letting it happen. Holy shit, dude. 2
years ago, you'd have been laughed out the room if you said there was going to be deathmatch wrestling on TNT of all channels. You'd have been cast away. People would have said, you're a crackhead. Stop talking.
Joe Rogan.
But here we are. Matt Cardona, he's left the confines of WWE, and he
it's killing it.
I don't know how many more death matches he would have in him, but I saw that Gage match, and that was violent, man. He really put himself on the line, and I have to respect the guy for that, because that match was bloody.
Yeah, dude, and the aftermath too was intense. But man, it was great storytelling, because if you look past the blood and guts of it, what the story was this guy coming in basically not in WWE, but still kind of story-wise waving that banner of that type of professional wrestler. And then when he does win the GCW title, which is insane to think about anyways, and he's doing all this shit to piss all the smart marks off and all the fans and everybody off, and dressing up as ECW style Vince McMahon, and everything he was saying and doing on social media at the time was just, dude, it was gold, man. Much props to him for doing that shit.
The reaction when Cardona won the GCW title was satisfying, I think, because their fans, they get into the product, and they see themselves as a part of the show. Yeah, and I think they really got worked quite hard.
Yes,
and I don't. Yeah, when I say that, I don't mean that to mock them. I mean it because in this day and age, it's nice to see people get worked so hard that they cannot even comprehend what's happening at the moment.
It's like a lost art, man.
Yeah, people lost their minds when Cardona won the belt, because they were so sure that their guy, their special Nick Gage, GCW through and through, would win. And when he didn't, man, people reacted for a real visceral, genuine reaction. And I remember laughing when it happened as I watched it, because I was just happy to see see that happen in 2021.
Yeah, and it just GCW is that brand that's just rising and rising. I look at it as, I mean, you got AEW and WWE, and then, I mean, dude, GCW, to me, they're almost like that ECW. You know, they're like the third brand, the smaller brand. Dude, they do a lot, and they're not just deathmatch. You know, they got some insane luchador action and some technical shit going on too. Like, I really see them as like that without, and I know they're not trying to be that. They have their own identity, but it gives me that vibes, you know, and no disrespect to anybody else like Impact or MLW that's fucking out there killing it as well. It's just, I get that feeling because of that rabid fan base, because ECW had that rabid fan base back in the day, you know, like people who were passionate about that shit, you know, like imagine if something like that happened back in the day in ECW's heyday, it would probably be the same shit, you know, like, I mean, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think what puts GCW in a more advantageous position than ECW ever was is the fact that GCW have proven, and I think they can prove it again, is that outside of WWE, they could get anyone they like, such as the landscape. Even the top AEW guys clearly have permission to go on the independents. So anyone can turn up, man. And they just confirmed PCO today for December 13th, I think the date is.
Fuck yeah, PCO is a good brother.
Yeah, they've had Hoovy turned up.
Moxley's still the champ, right?
That's right. Yeah, although I don't know. Obviously he's having there was news about Moxley a couple of weeks ago, so I don't know what's going on with that championship. But yes, he is, and he is a star. He is a former WWE champion. Lest we forget, the guy is a certified star, and ECW made use of unknown talent and sort of picked, people looking to prove themselves or veteran talents. But GCW can just sort of, I feel, without knowing their inner workings, obviously, I feel like they could call anybody up outside of WWE and say, hey, do you want to come in? And that they'll be able to consider it and probably say yes, such as the popularity in that. Is magic, really.
Yeah, dude,
I can't think of another word to describe it. It's magic.
We cut an episode a few weeks back with Moose, Impact Wrestling World Champ, and dude, they're on his radar. He's like, I don't know who's running the company, but hey, if you're watching, listening right now, I would like to come work for you guys. Hit me up. Like,
I mean, it's Brett Lauderdale. It's not that difficult to find that out.
Yeah. Right.
I'm just saying, like. Should know that.
Yeah. Fuck yeah, brother. Well, hey, man, I'm going to give you the time right now once again to plug the show, to plug your guys' social media, whatever kind of merch or anything you guys have going on. Now is the time for you to do it, brother.
All righty. Thank you. All right. New Wave Pro, November Reign, Saturday, November 27th, Terre Haute National Guard Armory. Doors open at 5:30. We have one pre-show match. Main bell, or first bell rather, is 6:30. Before that, 3 p.m. till 5 p.m., we actually have a learning seminar with the one and only Alex Zane. That's $30, which is a fucking bargain, if you ask me. On that card, we have Alex Zane taking on Aaron Williams. We have Don't Die Miles taking on Solomon Tupu. We have Cole Radrick and Sage Phillips in a dog collar match. We have Gary J, Crossroads champion, defending his championship against Freddie Hudson. We also have Mad Dog Connolly and Jay Marston tangling. The Von Englands versus Nick King and Orion Creed. Eric Dillinger and Nate Matthews in a street fight. The whole show is going to be great. And I don't just say that because I book the shows. I'm saying it because it's logical to say that when you have such a good card. We can only urge people to come down Thanksgiving weekend to Terre Haute. Because it's going to be one of the biggest spectacles of Midwest independent wrestling. I promise you that much. And our last show of 2021. And genuinely, there's a lot of guys on this card. Dillinger, Matthews, Connolly, the Von Englands, Aaron Williams, Miles, Solomon, Cole, Sage, where, especially when you're paying $10 for general admission, you're not going to get many opportunities in the near future to pay just $10 to see all of these people on one show. Like, we couldn't be giving people a better chance to see fantastic wrestling. So please, we're not that far from Indianapolis, not that far from Louisville or Chicago, Paris, Illinois, Charleston, Illinois, Northwestern Indiana, hint, hint. And even coming from the middle of Ohio, it's 4 or 5 hours. And if there's anything I've learned about living in this country, 4-hour drive is nothing. So I'd love to see all you guys there. We'd love to pack it out. And like I say, $10 general admission, $15 second and third row, $20 for the front row. You can catch me. I'm at the Liverpool Lip on Twitter. You can find me, Earl Joseph : the Liverpool Lip on Facebook. I update all the time. I keep people up to date with what I'm doing, whether I'm booking shows or ring announcing or commentating. New Wave's Twitter is at newwave_pro, and it's easy to find on Facebook. AWR. I will also be with AWR in Allen Park, Michigan on November 28th for a no-ring deathmatch show. That's being hosted by Casanova Valentine. He'll be wrestling Justin Kyle for the AWR World Championship.
Nice.
And Eric Dillinger, that man again, is taking on Akira. So that's going to be pretty exciting. So it's my first Michigan date as well as a ring announcer. So that's something else to cross off the list. Speaking personally for myself, I just want to say, if you're looking for a unique and well-studied and very hard-working ring announcer or commentator, then please do let me know. In 2022, I want to go to as many states as possible and work for as many companies and really work hard to make a name for myself and put over all of the talent that I work with. And apart from that, just please consider New Wave Pro November Reign and follow New Wave Pro into 2022.
Fuck yeah. Well, you heard the man. Get on it. Get your tickets. Attend the show. Have a good time. And everybody out there, and I know some of you people out there running some promotions, let's help Earl out. Get him fucking to announce your fucking show. Because he's got that Liverpool lip. You know, he's got that unique voice and that unique skill that only he can bring to your table. And if you want the attention, he's going to bring it to you, motherfuckers. So hit him up. And if you're going to hit him up and New Wave Pro up, you might as well hit your homies up as well. shopprowrestlingtees.com/JPWtees. Support the show by buying some shirts. Follow us on all social media. We're everywhere. Download, subscribe on any podcasting platform. And if you're watching right now on YouTube, hit like, subscribe, ring that damn bell so you can get the goods whenever we drop them. Hey, Earl, I fucking love you, brother. Thank you for your time. The door's always open. There's no forbidden doors here. You know, we welcome everybody. And we thank you very much for sharing your precious time with us, brother. Much love and respect to you and to New Wave Pro Wrestling. Until next time, wet 'em up, wet 'em up, wet 'em up.
You gonna do sex to me?
Did you like that video? If so, be sure to hit like and subscribe and check out more killer content from your boys at Juice Pro Wrestling. Whoa, yeah!